Welcome to the topic Pollination in Angiosperms from the chapter Plant Kingdom, HS first year. At first, let's see what pollination is. It is the transfer of pollen grains shed from the anther to the stigma of carpel. That means when pollen grains are transferred from the male reproductive organ of a flower to the female reproductive organ, which is the carpel, that is called pollination. Pollination is mainly of three kinds: autogamy, diatenogamy, and genogamy. Genetically, autogamy and diatenogamy are similar as they occur within the same plant. Now let's see what autogamy is. It is the transfer of pollen from anther to the stigma of the same flower. What we need to remember here is that anther is within the same flower. It is achieved when pollen release and stigma receptivity are synchronized, that is, they occur at the same time, and they lie close to each other. There are some plants which show a different characteristic, that is, they produce two different kinds of flowers. Plants like viola or common pansy, oxalis and commelina produce two different flowers known as chasmogamous flower and cleistogamous flower. Chasmogamous flower have exposed anther and stigma, that is, their petals are open, whereas cleistogamous flower have closed flowers and closed petals so that the anther and the stigma are close to each other. The easy trick to remember these two confusing terms is that to match cleist with fist, which is our closed hand, so that we can remember cleistogamous flower means the flowers in which the petals are closed and the anther and the stigma lie close to each other. Cleistogamous flower is mainly found under the ground. As the cleistogamous flowers are closed, so autogamy occurs mainly in this type of flowers. Autogamy is rare in chasmogamous flower because the anther and the stigma do not lie close to each other in chasmogamous flower. Now let's have a look at diatenogamy. It is the transfer of pollen grain from the anther to the stigma of another flower but of the same plant. It is functionally cross-pollination because a pollinating agent is required, but genetically it is self-pollination because it occurs within the same plant, so the genes are the same. Now let's see how genogamy is different from these two kinds of pollination. In genogamy, transfer of pollen grain occurs from the anther to the stigma of another flower of another plant but of the same species. So, genogamy brings genetically different pollen to the stigma because the transfer of pollen grain occurs between two different plants. But how does this transfer occurs? For this, the plants take the help of the agents of pollination. These agents of pollinations or pollinators may be abiotic or biotic. Wind and water are the abiotic agents of pollination, while animals such as birds, honeybees, bats, beetles, flies, butterflies, ants, lizards, they are the biotic pollinators. Majority of the plants use biotic agents for pollination, while abiotic pollinators are used by only a few genera of flowering plants. Moving on to abiotic pollinators, they have colorless flowers and enormous pollen are produced to compensate for the chance factor associated with wind and water. That means they do not possess showy, attractive flowers and there is a chance of wastage of pollen. That is why enormous number of pollen grains are produced by these flowers. Let's have a look at the characteristics of the wind-pollinated flowers. They have light and non-sticky pollen, well-exposed stamen, large and feathery stigma. They produce single ovule in each ovary and flowers packed into an inflorescence. This is an important point from entrance point of view that the wind-pollinated flowers produce single ovule in each ovary. The light and non-sticky pollen grains can be easily carried by the wind. Wind pollination is commonly found in grasses. It is also found in corn. And since there is no need to attract the pollinators, so the flowers are colorless. They are sometimes green, they are nectarless, odorless, and not showy. For example, rice, wheat, maize, etc. Let's have a look at water pollination. Here the flowers are small so that water can easily carry them. They are colorless. Floral parts are covered by a waxy layer. This protects the flower parts from water. The pollen grains are light, which helps them to float with the water current. It is limited to only 30 genera, which are mostly monocots. For example, Vallisneria, Hydrilla of freshwater, and seagrasses and Zostera of marine water. An important point to be noted here is that all the aquatic plants are not pollinated by water. It is an important point for entrance examinations too. Aquatic plants like water hyacinths and water lily, where the flowers emerge above water level, are pollinated by wind or insect. Water pollination occurs only in submerged flowers. Now let's move on to biotic pollinators. Except for bed-pollinated flowers, others are brightly colored to attract the organisms. They are sweet-scented. Flowers pollinated by flies and beetles secrete foul odors because flies and beetles are attracted to foul odor. The stigma is sticky and rough to be able to stick to the organisms. Animals get floral rewards in return of pollination. These rewards are in the form of nectar, pollen grain, etc. It means both the plant species and the pollinator is benefited due to this pollination. However, some of these floral rewards are unique. Some flowers may provide a safe place to lay eggs, provided by the tallest flower of Amorphophallus. The plant Yucca too provides this reward to a moth species. Sometimes a biotic pollinator may not cause pollination, but it may harness the floral rewards. This kind of animals are referred to as robbers of pollination. So that was all about pollination. Let's move on to the fact of the day. Grafting, a type of artificial vegetative propagation, is possible only in dicots, but not in monocots because monocots do not have cambium, which means cambium is necessary for the process of grafting. That was all for today's topic. If the video was beneficial, then please leave a like below, and also don't forget to subscribe my channel to get more videos on simple explanations of the topics included in HS syllabus. I'll be back with another video. Thanks for watching.